questions. What have you heard of cloud computing till now, in the past 2 hours? All the jargons. Let's just throw open all the jargons that we have got. Anybody? SaaS.
Virtualization.
Use acronyms, it's much better. Platform as a service, right? PaaS.
SaaS.
IWS, infrastructure as a service. Sorry?
Infrastructure as a service.
Wait.
Data as a service.
I didn't know that before. Okay, what else? Utility computing. Somebody explained utility computing, grid computing, and all the geeky stuff. I'm a geek, professional geek. What else? Anybody else? Paper use. Anybody heard of paper use? Right? That's about it. I mean, you guys are less confused, that means. Okay? So, yeah, let's kind of understand what we have. What is cloud computing, right? This is all cloud computing. Right? I've been living this past 3 years. It's a business model, frankly. Okay? And to understand cloud computing, you have to understand the way you run, or rather you compute or run IT today inside your infrastructure. So what do you use? You have a mail server, a database server, 3-tier application, N-tier applications. And what do you have at the end of the day? A physical hardware box, which has processor, memory, hard drive, I/O bus, and the hardware stuff that is there. And there is an operating system on top of that, right, which abstracts the physical hardware components to applications that run on top of the operating system. So the operating system's job is to abstract that complex 1001 kind of code down to something which is like C++, Java, C#, and the other applications on .NET, for instance. And then for us as users, we have these applications or development code that abstracts the operating system further and provides us Outlook as an email client or Word as a word processing application, so on and so forth. At the bare metal, what happens? Every application runs as a process. In reality, the process does not run. It's a thread that runs on top of the processor, right? And there are clock cycles. How quickly can each thread run depends on how fast is your processor. And at some point of time, there will be laws of diminishing returns. Because your processor being very, very fast, you'll still have the memory which is not as fast as the processor, right? Which means you have bottlenecks on the physical hardware. More than that, what people notice, and that's where the entire paradigm of virtualization started, saying, if you look at my physical machine, right, that's like a desktop. Anybody notices how many processors I have? Processors? Actually, one socket. I've got 2 cores, right? I'll not jump into those details and get into it also. But if you notice, the amount of memory I have is like what? 8 GB? 8 GB on a laptop, imagine. I've seen something go to 64 GB as well. But at the end of the day, if you notice, what's the utilization of my laptop at this point of time? The resources, hardly 1 to 0% of processing power. 1.85 GB, I don't know what's actually running, but some applications are being stored in real-time memory. This hardware is underutilized, right? People notice that. So when business guys ask IT, saying, boss, you keep asking me for IT budgets, and then I don't see returns. Some people do. And then you keep on putting these thousands of boxes in multiple different locations and you expect disaster recovery, and then you come back with fundas like hot, cold, warm disaster recovery sites. What do you do with that? Right? I mean, I don't see that much of load. It's not the IT guy's fault. It's the hardware is being underutilized. So people said, okay, why don't I get my application to run, or rather my databases and my operating systems to run multiple different applications. So they went to the concept of throttling between, okay, even if I have 10 processors or 8 processors, I will get my application on my operating system to provide 1 or 2 processors to this database, and maybe 2 processors to this messaging system, and maybe 2 processors to this specific application server, could be just .NET code. The problem is not every application is compatible with the other application on the same Windows instance. I'm running one Windows operating system, right? I'm not running multiple of them. So in case tomorrow if I land up putting, I don't know what, some application version 5.0 with an application version 1.0, it may not coexist. But I want to do that because my users are demanding that, right? They want some kind of application compatibility. So then obviously the brains in the IT industry work together to say, let me now virtualize my hardware. To say I can run multiple distinct Windows or other operating system instances on the same physical hardware. Right? Which means I'm virtualizing it.